small percentage royalty on every sale, but no money comes out of your pocket. And ultimately, they have the relationships with all the large retailers, and if there's a chance of getting those books onto those shelves, they're gonna be able to do that. If you only want to have a few books for friends and family, and you want to check something off your bucket list, then then you do POD. You do print on demand, and you put a couple dollars in, and you have a couple books to hand out to some friends and family, and that's where that is. If you really want to make a profit in publishing and you want to build a business out of it, then your only real way to do it is to print your books offset and for you to be the publisher. The publisher makes the money much more than the author does. So, unless you're J.K. Rowling or Stephen King, which none of us are, the best way to make money in publishing are people who can't make money in publishing. They don't know how to do it, and it makes them feel better to tell everyone else it's not possible. But as much as I love my books, and as much as yes, it's a story that is my stories are meaningful to me. The fact is, these are still commodities. People buy laptops, they buy kitchenware, they buy books, and you simply have to figure out, okay, what's my sell price? How much can I get from each sale? What are my costs of the goods sold? What's my cost of marketing and running my business? And do I have a margin in there? How do I create that margin, and how do I market my books properly so I can get that margin over to me, and I can make a profit? But there's no reason why, just because it's a tough industry, no reason why you can't make money. I showcases their brand and their company and their books to her, so that she can tell you, are you set up for PR to come your way? Are you set up to get media interested in what you're doing and get the attention of TV broadcasts and magazines and podcasters and such?
That is so incredible. Who's your keynote? What is she teaching?
So the keynote is her name is Carol Mclod, and she is a living legend. She wrote a book called Have You Filled Your Bucket Today? I've gone to 40 schools this year so far to do assemblies, and everyone I've asked, do you work?
Welcome to the Dr. Smiley Show. I am always excited to have guests on, especially ones that help future leaders, or I should say children's authors, encourage future leaders to be better people. So, Jay, such a pleasure to have you in the show.
Thanks, Ken. Pleasure to be here.
So it has been a minute since we first had our conversation, and it just goes to show how many conversations can turn into big things. I'm so excited about your event coming up July 11th through 13th. And the main reason for the show is to share with people that are children's authors that they should be there if they want to be seen and have a chance of getting in the school systems better. So would you, before you explain that, would you just tell people who you are and how they can contact you at the end of the show for the event?
Surely. So my name is Jay Miletsky, commonly known by most anyone under the age of 12 as Mr. J. That's what I write under. I'm an author first. I've written Ricky the Rock That Couldn't Roll, Patrick Picklebottom, and the Penny Book are among my more popular titles. A number of other titles after that, but along with that, I also do a lot of work to help independent authors on a variety of different levels, whether it's printing and shipping, or it's an education on how to make yourselves profitable in this very up and down sort of an industry. And anyone who wants to get in touch with me can do so through, probably my personal email is probably the best, Miletsky, Miletsky, the letter J at gmail.com.
And what we'll do is we'll put a link to the event, and I think you have Smile or something like that as a code for anyone who hears the show that wants to participate in the event, if I recall.
Correct. Actually, while we're talking, I'll look it up. I think it's a little bit.
It might be Smiley. I think it's Smiley.
Yeah, I'll take a look just to make sure, so we don't give anyone the incorrect information. But it's something like that. Let's see here. Hold on a second.
So the event is in Nashville. It's July 11th through 13th. And if you are a children's author, know someone who's a children's author, I will tell you that Jay may not know this, but it's going to come out right now on the show, is that this young man here, he may have written 14 books, but when he did his first book, he only cared about one thing that was on Amazon. Then about 6 months later, he cared about this thing called Scholastic. And I knew who Scholastic was. And you have a relationship with them, and you bring them to your events. So tell me a little about that.
Well, I think probably a little bit of probably on a little bit of different pages. My relationship with Scholastic was very fleeting and does not exist any longer.
Okay.
And they're not part of my event. So my relationship with Scholastic was literally when I first started writing children's books. I owned a media company in Manhattan. We were in the Prince building, and which is at the corner of Broadway and Prince. And across the street from us was the large Scholastic building. And right across the hall from us was a Scholastic office. And I was, building my media company at the time. And I wrote this children's book. And I'd always heard that the people across the hall from us were a tech office for Scholastic. But you ride the elevators up with enough 90-year-old women to realize that's not tech. That's editorial.
Right.
So I just kind of wandered over there one day, and I people recognized me from the elevators and the hallways, and I ended up talking with a acquisitions editor. A couple weeks later, I had a contract in my hand for to be published by Scholastic, and I thought about it and I realized, you know what, I can make 45 cents per unit with Scholastic, and it would be a very short-lived thing where they would push the book for 3 months and then it would kind of very quickly die unless it was an overnight sensation. Or I could make a lot more money if I did it on my own. And being someone entrepreneurial and being a relative risk taker, I politely said no to the contract and I moved on and started printing on my own. That was my entire interaction with Scholastic. It lasted about 2 weeks. It culminated in an offer with a contract that I rejected, and that was the last I've seen or heard from them.
I thought you had Scholastic at your last event, so that was my mishearing. So, who do you have at your events that actually listens? There's a pitch that you get to do at the events.
So, okay, correct. Yes. So we have we have the main event, which is the actual education part of it. We have a number of different speakers come up and present on a lot of different topics throughout the day. We also have pitch meetings that people can sign up for, and they can be part of those. So one of the pitch meetings, for example, is with a national distributor, a company called APG. They're the reasons why my books are on the shelves of Barnes& and Noble and Target and other large retailers. It's very, very hard to get a distributor. But that's really the best way, and really one of the only ways to get into retail on a large basis. You might be getting to one or two retail stores locally, but if you want to get national distribution, you need to have a distributor. Like I said, very, very hard to do. At our summits, you can choose to pitch to them, and after 5 minutes, you get your pitch is done, and eventually they'll decide whether or not they want to give you a contract or not. Along with that, and for this is the first time we're doing it this year, we're also having a pitch from. You can also pitch Kids Read Now, which is a school organization. It's an organization that I'm part of them. I think they're wonderful. They put together a catalog that they send out to, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of schools, and they sell millions of books. Basically, they sell these books to kids from economically disadvantaged backgrounds. So these kids will be able to get their hands on books they ordinarily wouldn't be able to get their hands on otherwise. So I have two books in their catalog. They are rather selective of which books they put in. The catalogs go out to the schools. The kids get to choose which books they want. Um, I send the files, or the author sends the files to Kids Read Now for your book. They take on the cost of the printing, the shipping, the postage, the storage, the fulfillment, and all that. All the books are printed, even though my books are hardcover. They print the books in softcover, put them into the catalog when kids order them. The authors make a commission on them, so I make a royalty on whatever books they sell. So it's not Scholastic, it's Kids Read Now, but they still sell through catalogs same way that Scholastic would, and they sell millions of books a year.
Well, I'll have to clean up. I told a couple people that might be Scholastic there, so I have to clean it up. But tell me the advantages of these other distributors, because it sounds like you've thought this out, and Scholastic would be a lesser impact. Is that correct?
Well, so Scholastic is a publisher. And when you go to the traditional route, there's a few different ways that you can publish a book. And the way you're going to choose is basically to come down to what your goals are. So if your goal is to not invest any money and you want to see your book on the shelves of Barnes& Noble and Target and such, then really the best way to go about that would be to go through a traditional publisher, whether it's Random House or Penguin or Scholastic. And they fund all the money. They put up the investment. You make a small percentage royalty on every sale, but no money comes out of your pocket. And ultimately, they have the relationships with all the large retailers. And if there's a chance of getting those books onto the shelves, they're going to be able to do that. If you only want to have a few books for friends and family, and you want to check something off your bucket list, then then you do POD. You do print on demand, and you put a couple dollars in, and you have a couple books to hand out to some friends and family, and that's where that is. If you really want to make a profit in publishing and you want to build a business out of it, then your only real way to do it is to print your books offset and for you to be the publisher. The publisher makes the money much more than the author does. So, unless you're J.K. Rowling or Stephen King, which none of us are, the best way to make a real profit is to print your books in bulk with an offset printer, have them shipped back to the United States, sell them through via any number of different sales channels, whether it's Amazon Advantage, which is one of their platforms, school visits, street fairs, things like that, and you'll end up making a lot more per unit. but you do
Yes.
it yourself, and the investment has to come from you. You're going to put the money in for the printing and the shipping and the warehousing and all of that.
One thing I find the shortcoming in that is, yes, the publishers can make the most money, but if you're self-publishing, I mean, that's kind of what you're saying. But what I found is that so many people don't know the marketing or the social media or the campaigns you have to do, which you are obviously very good at.
Yeah, I mean, I hope I'm very good at it. I mean, I make a decent amount of money off my books every year. Um, but yes, I think a lot of people get lost on the marketing side of it.
Right.
So, when I started off as a when I started off as an author, I taught myself. I had a background in marketing. I owned a marketing agency for about 17 years. So I understood that part of it. I also, because I had a background in traditional publishing, I've had 12 books published through large traditional publishers before I got into children's books. I understood the publishing aspect of it also. I knew that I wasn't going to be on the shelves of the large retailers, not anytime soon, not until I got a distributor in my back pocket, and I wasn't going to get a distributor until I had a history of sales. So I started just grinding. I put my book out on Amazon. I ran Amazon ads. My book on my own site. I ran ads on Facebook and Instagram. Like I said, I did street fairs and school festivals. And I hit the streets and I really sold. And I parlayed whatever money I made into larger print runs, which gave me lower cost per unit. So my margins were widened. I parlayed them into more titles for myself. The more titles, the more I sold at street fairs and school visits and such, until eventually I was able to get a distributor. But what I realized was, as I started doing that, other authors were coming to me saying, how do we replicate your success?
Right.
And so that's why I built the IAPC, the Independent Authors Publishing Collective. So we help authors by facilitating the printing and the shipping of their books in China and shipping them back to the U.S. And at this point, we have an 8,000 square foot warehouse where we house everyone's books and we fill orders. But then we also realized, like you just said, most people don't know the marketing side of it. So that's why I started TOC Productions, which helps to educate people not only on the industry and how it works, but also on how to market your books properly so that you can sell.
And what does that stand for, TOC?
Table of contents. That's where people look for the information of their book, what's inside, and people would come to our productions, the productions that we put on, for information about how to succeed in publishing.
That's
So,
awesome. So your event's a lot about that. So let me show the event real quick.
sure.
So this is the site, TOC Productions. If you skip down here, there's the top of it. And if you skip down here a bit, you get to see the featured event. And we're going to be hosting as many speakers that are going to be there, just to give them a little shout out as to what kind of value they're going to bring. Um, I'll say, Jay, I think publishing what you're doing is so critical. And I say this almost from a literally heart-centered compliment to you, is that you could have the most brilliant book ever, brilliant author, but if they don't know the scope of what this space is in this industry, they might feel like a failure, and they might just say, this wasn't worth it. I'm never going to do it again. And I think what you're doing is you're giving people the education they need. It's just like going into a business. If you don't have a business plan, you don't have the right type of information, you don't know you're supposed to get a lawyer, you don't know you're supposed to get an accountant, those kind of things, you're probably heading to failure faster than the average business. And I just find that a lot of authors don't carry their books around, and they don't do a second book, and they feel kind of like, okay, I did it. But I think what you're doing is a game changer on whether someone has success and actually can perpetuate all the things they want to do with books.
Well, I hope so. I think I have a group on Facebook, and it's got 130,000 people, and then and that's gotten quite large. So I have a paid group now where we talk about publishing on a higher level. But
Mm-hmm.
I spend a lot of time in different groups, and I read through, and people will throw out just like some vague questions, such as, how do I publish my book? Or more specifically, how do I make money from publishing my book?
Right.
And then I always kind of I find it amusing. I'll read 50 to 100 or so comments back saying, you shouldn't be publishing for money, or if you think you're going to make money in publishing, you're mistaken. Only very few do it. You should really just do it for fun. And I never really understood that response. You can say that, does that go for what company? What kind of industry would that not apply to? So should I? Most restaurants fail. So should I, if I want to open a restaurant, should I just not do it because or for money, and I just do it for fun because I enjoy cooking? Of course not. I'm going to open a restaurant. I'm going to invest in that restaurant. I expect to make money from that restaurant. I'm going to make the decisions that need to be made to make money from that restaurant. If I'm going to own a toaster manufacturing company, I'm not going to do it because I just happen to love toasters. I'm going to do it because I want to make money. I'm going to invest money into that business. I want to make money from it. People, I think, who say that you can't make money in publishing are people who can't make money in publishing. they don't know how to do it, and it makes them feel better to tell everyone else it's not possible. But as much as I love my books, and as much as yes, it's a story that is my stories are meaningful to me. The fact is, these are still commodities. People buy laptops, they buy kitchenware, they buy books, and you simply have to figure out, okay, what's my sell price? How much can I get from each sale? What are my costs of the goods sold? What's my cost of marketing and running my business? And do I have a margin in there? How do I create that margin, and how do I market my books properly so I can get that margin over to me, and I can make a profit? But there's no reason why, just because it's a tough industry, no reason why you can't make money. I've made a considerable amount of money in publishing. I didn't write anything magical. I wrote a book, and I understood what audiences wanted to read. I put it together in a way that I knew that they would be interested in. I marketed it properly, and I made the right decisions in terms of printing it in a way that maximized my profit. And I think that's what it takes. I didn't have an uncle at Barnes& Noble. I didn't have a relative at Amazon. I was just a guy with an idea for a book, and I wrote it, and I made the right decisions. Does that mean that everybody is going to be successful? Of course not. But I think that, and what I try to do is I tell people I can't guarantee success. Whether you print your books through us or you come to one of my summits, I can't guarantee a success because I don't know what your book is going to be about. I don't know how you're printing it or what decisions you're making. But what I can do is I can give you the information that will stack the deck in your favor so that you can at least improve your odds and at the very least maybe not lose money. But hopefully make some money and make enough money that this could be your job. There's no reason why you can't make a career from publishing.
Well, I mean, this is very educational because APG I hadn't really heard of, and that's going to be a company that's actually there to listen and allow a pitch to happen, and it would be a game changer for you. And then you have Kids Read Now. Are there any other pitching opportunities that are there?
There's APG, and there's Kids Read Now. There's an investor pitch. We actually do have an investor coming in, and people have asked us, is the investor a, a publishing industry investor? And no, it's an investor that is like any other VC. They're looking for companies in different industries to invest money in because they see there's some potential there that if they invest 5, 10, $25,000 into your business, they will see a return. So there is an investor pitch, which I think is actually pretty cool. We've gotten a lot of really good feedback and excitement around that. And then we have some meetings that you can set up as well. So, for example, you can meet with actually me to go over your Amazon ads, and we'll spend 20 minutes going over your Amazon ad account and showing how you can change your ads, edit your ads, make them better, so that if they pull in more views, more buys, and we'll just make it better so that you can sell more. You're running a meeting where people can look at where people can work with you to spend 10 minutes looking over their social media. And
Right.
I think that's going to be hugely valuable. Most people have a Twitter account and a LinkedIn account set up or a TikTok account. They have no idea what they're doing with it. They've got no idea how to maximize their views or their following. You'll be able to help them out with that. And we have a media person who's going to look at everyone who pitches with her, or not necessarily pitches with her, but just showcases their brand and their company and their books to her, so that she can tell you, are you set up for PR to come your way? Are you set up to get media interested in what you're doing and get the attention of TV broadcasts and magazines and podcasters and such?
That is so incredible. Who's your keynote? What is she teaching?
So the keynote is her name is Carol McLeod, and she is a living legend. She wrote a book called Have You Filled Your Bucket Today? I've gone to 40 schools this year so far to do assemblies, and everyone I've asked, do you work with this book? Every single school works with that book. They all do a bucket fillers program. She has turned an idea into just an enterprise. Just from this one idea, literally, I mean, I can't imagine there's a school out there that does not use her program.
Yeah.
So she's going to be there talking about, she's a New York Times bestseller. She's sold, I don't know, 3, 4 million books. She's been translated into, I think, 7 different languages, won 21 real awards, not just like Mom's Choice Awards, but like real awards. She's just gonna be talking, she's gonna be telling her story, how she came up with her idea, how she got it put together and published, how she did it herself, and how she grew this one idea into a nationwide movement that's lasted for 20 plus years now.
This event is just so magical and it's quite intimate. I mean, you have like only a couple hundred people coming to the event. Is that about right?
think about 140. We don't really go out of our way to get much more than that. We one of the things that I think people really get out of the events, and it's growing every year. The first year we did with 24 people, and that was 4 years ago. Last year we had 114. I think we're about 140 this year. Um, and people get a lot of education out of it. They got the pitch meetings. They walk away with a ton of content they can work with. I mean, it's not just we don't run our I don't like programs like this that are very are general, like where it's like get into the author mindset, get into the entrepreneur mindset. I don't
Right.
I don't get into that mindset crap. This is practical. Here, get your hands dirty. Here's what you need to do to actually grow your business, and information that you can actually walk away from. But along with that, people make a lot of connections there. Like they walk away with a really strong community of friends,
Yeah.
and you might not think that that's really valuable, but it is because they
But
all walk
super
away
valuable.
collaborating with each other, bouncing ideas off of each other, and understanding that okay, you know what, I'm at a crossroads with my business where I don't feel like I know what to do next, and you realize, oh, you know what,
Mhm.
there's a whole room full of people here who feel the exact same way. Now I feel a little bit better about it, and I feel a little bit. It's easier somehow for me to make these decisions because I'm talking to other people who are in the same boat as me.
Well, my son is so excited to be there. It's
Looking forward to
a
meeting
dream
him.
come true. This is our Disneyland. I mean, this is the world of Disney here. Come to see you, Jay. He's got 14 books, and he's just hopeful that one gets caught up with one of these pitches. But I'm just so excited that he gets that opportunity. I want to say a shout out to Laura Duxtra because Laura is the one who connected us probably a couple years ago, and it's about how much do you really want to play big, and all the authors I'm bringing to your event, they're so excited. I mean, all of them know how hard it is to find an event like this. That's the thing. You have a very very special event, very niche event where you have the mindset to write. Now you buy the ticket, like you're ready to get into the real stuff. You have some special other things. You have entertainment, or you have a gala or something like that. Do you want to share what that is about?
Yeah, I'm actually really excited about this. The night of the summit. So we have the welcome event on the 11th. And it's interesting. We do all this work, and I think we end up typically losing about $1,500 on the whole thing. We don't really make money on these, because we always splurge more than we should. So
Right.
we took out this rooftop bar. So the welcome event is going to be about, I don't know, about 100 people who are going to get there a little bit early. Come up to the rooftop bar. We rent the whole thing out. Everyone just kind of hang out, get to know each other, mingle, and just have fun in Nashville. Saturday is the main event. Sunday is a brunch event where we have two more presentations, and everyone gets to say goodbye to each other and that. But Saturday night, we're running our first annual Rightly Awards, and it's basically celebrating the best of the best of the people who enter for in mostly children's books, children's through middle age, middle grade novels. And we've got 15 different categories people can choose from. And it's not a pay to play sort of thing. It's not a mom's choice award where, if you pay $400, you automatically win. I
Right.
don't believe in that stuff. So there's only three winners per category, whether we call it gold, silver, bronze, whatever. But we're also, we have a country band that's coming in. We're laying out the dance floor. I've made sure in all the groups that I'm part of that everyone knows don't come if you don't plan on dancing. We're having like a five-star meal that's going to be there. I mean, it's going to be a ton of fun. That's part of it. I've been to some of the SCBWI presentations and things like that, and I walked out saying, okay, I guess I got some information. But I was bored out of my mind. There was like a small tray of stale bagels and a little container of Kraft cream cheese, whatever. That's mostly crumbs in it at that point. I don't think that these events have to be that way. I think they can be fun. I want people dancing. I want people coming and having a good time. When you come to the summit, there's going to be, the whole breakfast bar in the morning. We have all day waters and sodas and coffees. We've got a five-star lunch and that big buffet lunch. We've got 2 hours people to wander around and mingle and talk. We've got vendor tables. There's no reason why these things can't be educational and a ton of fun at the same time. That's part of it. You're spending your weekend away, enjoy it.
So July 11th is around the corner. You should get your tickets. Are you going to sell out of this event? Do you have a point where you say there's no more tickets sold, or do you allow it to go to like
Yeah, no, we're gonna be done as of May 31st. Because we need to in the past we've had people sign up like right up to the very end, and that really kind of throws us off with the hotels.
Yep.
So this year we're gonna do it the right way, and we're gonna give the hotel the exact number. I will say that the earlier people sign up, the better because we've already run through our room block twice. We can I think we're probably pretty close to running through our room block again. We can still add more rooms, but I can't imagine we can add that many more rooms.
I got you.
So the sooner the better.
So I'm guilty of that. I need to get in my room too. So Jay, let me surmise everything. So great event, great people, great content, great opportunity, and great food and great dancing. I mean
There you go.
the whole six.
If I'm going to be dancing, it's not going to be great dancing. It'll just be dancing, but it'll be great fun.
Well, how about great music and great fun? There
Great
we go.
fun. It's great music.
So, when I first talked to you, I would be surprised if I even had 1,000 followers on Instagram. And you have me talking about social media. I've been doing social media since 2006, but I just want to let you know I've been studying the two things I want to go deep into, which is what is your Instagram impact and what is your YouTube subscribership. So I purposely am giving myself a hard test so I can actually go real time and say, this is what it was and this is what I did with it. So I am at 11.8 and we started talking when it was 1,000. But here's the more important thing. The more important thing is who's following you and how active are they following you. As you know, I got 155,000 active
That's
engaged.
awesome.
And the reason I'm
That's
sharing it
awesome.
with you, Jay, is when you gave me this opportunity to speak about what I love the most, which is social clout. It's social proof, but social proof comes through social media and having people really celebrate what your message is. But I wanted to show you this because this is also real. Today, the day you get on the show is whatever amount of days it's or like under 60 days to your event. I have this thing called a YouTube channel. And if you look at it, it's got 26 views, and you can take my word for it. If I go to it right now, I can speak for everyone who's ever, and I go to Dr. Smiley, we are at the whopping 13 subscribers, and I think you might even be one of them. But my point is, watch what I do in the next 50 days to show what is supposed to happen when you take on the YouTube channel. It's like
That's awesome.
I'm putting the gauntlet out. And by the way, for the record, Jay, I have all these other accounts, but I decided to take my own medicine. Stick to your brand, keep your brand pure. And if everything else is clouding people from following you, then get rid of it and cloud them only. I mean, funnel them there. So I am so excited to be at this event. I am telling you, this is one of those things where I don't get to take my son to an event very often, and he is ecstatic about this event. He's leaving his Boy Scouts camp
Wow.
2 days early because he wants to be there, and we're just excited about the entire experience. So I'm going to make sure every single person I can possibly find that's a children's author. And by the way, what's the children's author group or their Facebook group? What is that one?
You know what? That's a great question. I've run it for like
You
for a
can
lot
put
of.
it. You can put it in the show link if you want.
It's
So
it's called Children's Book Authors and Illustrators: Publishing, Marketing, and Selling.
okay.
And there are a number of them that copy our name and the image, but we're the only one that's 131,000 members.
You are welcome to either text that to me or put it in the show. Okay.
Great.
And
Appreciate it.
Jay, such a pleasure having you on the show. I look forward to meeting you in person. And what a game changer you are for the children's author market.
Thanks, guys. I'm looking forward to seeing you there.
All right. See you soon. Bye bye.